This one's gonna go on YouTube as well, guys. So as you guys know, I do these every week, right? Either Saturday or Sunday without fail. Every week I try to do a weekly analysis, and I have not missed a beat so far this year. Okay, so starting with Monday, we have no news on the 11th. Tuesday, no news on the 12th. Wednesday, we have CPI at 8:30. Thursday, we have PPI at 8:30. Jerome is speaking in the afternoon at 3. And then Friday, we've got core retail sales at 8:30. Normally, core retail sales is not high volatility, just in comparison to a lot of the other, like CPI at 8:30, PPI at 8:30. Retail sales doesn't really do as much in comparison to those, but I would still recommend waiting for that news to pass before you take any trades, okay? Let's hop over to the chart. Looking at the DXY, we talked about last week flowing higher towards this 3-month high, right? So if I just hop over there to the 3-month, and let me preface by saying, for people watching on YouTube, I do my analysis and trading from an ICT standpoint. If you're not familiar with his concepts, or if you're not familiar with what it looks like, or if you just don't like ICT, whatever it is, just hear me out on this analysis, because I see a lot of bullish price coming in the coming months. Okay, so I was telling my group about this 3-month high here, and the reason for that is the higher time frames very rarely have inside bars. Okay, anything over the 4-hour, right, like daily, weekly, monthly, 3-month, 6-month, 1 year, those things tend to be either previous range is going to get hit high or low. Okay, and what I mean by that is, if you look at these candlesticks, the next candle usually takes out either the high or the low of the previous candle, right? You see we took out the high of this candle. This was an inside bar for this 3-month time period, but then the next 3 months we take out the high. The next 3 months we take out the low. The next 3 months I'm anticipating we take out the high, because we've already reversed from the close of the previous candle, right? So we closed down here, and then this last quarter we opened up, did not take out the low, and we've been just dragging liquidity to the upside, okay? So I'm anticipating price to take out this previous 3-month high. What do I have to support that? Well, if I go down to the monthly, okay, you can see that we had this bearish gap here. And I was watching this to see, okay, would this fail or would we hold? And you can see this candle from October basically blew straight past this reason for bearish price action, right? So this was a confirmation to me that we're likely going to continue going higher once I saw that we just could not hold here. What could have happened was price could have went in here into this area of inefficiency and then continued lower to hit this 1-year imbalance, which is what I thought was originally going to happen before the election. I thought this was a great reason for price to go in here. But you'll later see, because of the news of Trump's win, and the timing is just so uncanny, that price was almost destined to go higher. And I'll get into that on futures, okay? But after we blew past this, now you can see we've got a new efficiency that's still forming, right? We still have 19 days in this month, but I do believe that this is also going to be a new inefficiency for bullish price action, okay? Based off of what happens, we could leave this open, right? We could leave this open and continue going higher, or we could come in to test it for good measure and then continue higher. All right, now dropping over to the weekly, this is what happened last week. We had this kind of a doji candle, right? Still taking out previous week's high, right? You can see every candle is just taking out the previous candle's high here in this run. Previous candle high, previous candle high, previous candle high, even now, previous candle high, right? I was looking for this to be hit because we had this fresh inefficiency that had not been hit yet that happened last week. And you can see how we kind of cleared the board here, right? So in terms of the range of the previous candle, last week we reached down into this weekly inefficiency and then hit external liquidity, as well as reached into this sell side inefficiency, right? And now we held above the open. So again, this furthers my belief that we are likely to continue going after this 3-month high, all right? So bullish dollar, okay? On the daily, this was really interesting to me. Last Thursday, I'm just going to back this up. Last Thursday, we had this bearish candle that closed down here on this breaker block, and we formed an imbalance. At first sight, it looks like price could come in here into this daily gap right here, right? Something like this. Next candle on Friday could open up, reach down, hit that inefficiency, and then go higher towards the external liquidity up here. That would have been some pretty price action. But if you think about price in terms of a series of events, right? Like reading a book from left to right, you can see that after Thursday close, price does not need to come down here into this gap because it's already sitting on a PD array, okay? It's already sitting on this bullish breaker block. So what I would be looking for is for these two down close candles to support price higher. It doesn't have to go down into this gap, especially when you've already hit a PD rate. Now, could it do that? Sure. But when I see something like this, right, where the block is in front of the gap, I tend to lean towards that first PD array that's engaged to hold. And you can see that that's what happened on Friday, right? Just to add insult to injury, we gapped open on Friday, right, in comparison to Thursday's candle. And it just came right down to hit that breaker block one last time, and then it just went bullish, right? So seeing that, again, the only thing that's left to hit is this daily external range liquidity. So again, I'm expecting another reason for a bullish dollar. What's above this high? Well, you have that 3-month high, okay? So that is my analysis for the DXY. Those are the confluences I noticed as to why price is going to likely continue going higher, right? Not guaranteed, but just a lot of things going on that seem to scream bullishness, okay? Taking a look at futures. This is what I find really interesting. This is the 1-year chart, and it's just really interesting, the timing of the election, the result of the winner, the fact that it was Trump. Look at this. We have a 1-year fair value gap right here, and we have it over here on the right chart, which is NASDAQ, right? So on the left, I have ES, and on the right, I have NASDAQ. This gap was engaged in January of 2022. And then we begin seeking the external liquidity all of 2023. And then just all of 2024 has been completely bullish. Same thing on NASDAQ, internal to external. And it's just been, I wouldn't call it parabolic, but it's just been bullish, as if it was just always planned to be that way. And I find that very interesting, how even these massive time frames show the same structure. Looking at the, I just want to check, see if the 3-month had anything. Yeah, nothing here. And normally I just hop down to the monthly from here. All right, everything's bullish. The markets are in alignment, right? So we finally hit previous all-time high on NASDAQ. We were already above previous highs on ES. So everything's the same there. Looking at the weekly, last week gave us a nice bullish close on both of these markets. To me, this is a bullish order block. So I want to see these two down close candles support price on the S&P. And I want to see this single down close candle support price on NASDAQ. On the daily, you can see what that looks like. All right, a nice bullish breaker block here. Price could come all the way back down here and still be bullish. All right, because I'm watching these down close candles. Okay, I want to see these down close candles support price. All right, as well, we have this daily imbalance here. Actually, we have 3. We have one here, and one here. But I don't really pay attention to this when we have multiple like that. I want to pay attention to that core structure, and the core structure is everything that's bearish right here. Okay, so everything that's bearish from here to here, this is core structure that I'd want to see keep price up. So a pullback even down, I'm talking down here to 57.60 is still bullish, especially if we hold. Okay, I would anticipate price to stay in the range of the previous high, right? That's, that'd be ideal, obviously. But the same thing goes for NASDAQ, right? NASDAQ could come all the way back down into the 20,200 range and still be bullish. Like, there's a lot of healthy support down here in these down close candles, okay? So just keep an eye on that. Can we just go straight up with CPI and PPI and not even see that pullback? Absolutely. But ideally, I'd like to see this thing kind of cool off. All right. So that's really it that I'm looking at. That's all I'm looking at for futures. I'm looking for more longs. Price right now, I know it looks extended on the higher time frames, but you can't go off of that, right? You can't go off of, oh, it's just been going up, up, up. It's got to come back down. That's the Monte Carlo effect, right? If you don't know about that, I highly encourage you to look up the Monte Carlo effect with the casino and betting on black and red. Really good insight as to what you're looking at happen in these markets. But definitely expecting another bullish week. We could actually just have a small week, but I highly doubt that's going to happen with CPI and PPI. Just keep an eye out for that. If I had to jump over to Bitcoin, if you guys haven't seen my previous video on Bitcoin, I was expecting a big drop before we got that rise. We did get that big drop, but right now on Bitcoin, we just completed a 3-month internal to external setup. This is something that had been here the whole time, right? So price dropped into this gap and it held very nicely. I mean, didn't even get a candle closure in here. We closed outside of this imbalance. And so the very next candle, you'd expect it to go right through the high. We did that, right? So now, let me just see if I just jump out to the 12-month, right? This has already been done, very similar to futures, right? Internal, external, okay? That was the bigger one. So we reached into this 1-year gap in 2022. 2023 did not hit our target, which was up here. Did not come until just recently at the end of the year, towards the end of the year 2024, right? Which is on our current candle, okay? So fun stuff. Again, expect more bullishness. And that's it for this weekly analysis. And hope you guys trade safe.